Over 200 experts have shared their secrets to a successful business. Join me, Rose Davidson, as I discover how these experts took their businesses to the next level.
Talking with the experts.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts. Talking about all things business by business owners for business owners. Episode 261 with Jennifer Lieberman.
It can't hurt. And one of the reasons I wrote the book is because people are consuming more books than ever today because of audiobooks. And a lot of people, it's not that they don't want to read an actual paperback or Kindle. It's that when we're stuck in traffic, we can't read. And I've lived in LA. Toronto is a nightmare. If you live outside of the city, you can easily be spending an hour commuting to work each way. So that's 2 hours out of your day where you can be, quote unquote, reading a book. When I lived in New York, I loved that I could take the subway because I would read a book a week just on my subway ride to and from Queens every day, because I lived in Queens and I'd work in the city. So I was reading a book a week. And when I moved to LA, I was so frustrated at the fact that my time in the car was wasted time, whereas my time commuting in New York, I made it into something productive.
Talking with the experts.
Hello, and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And talking about YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ding on that bell so you get notified when new videos are uploaded. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Now, have you ever wanted to know how to record and publish an audiobook? Well, my next guest, Jennifer Lieberman, can tell you how to do that in 7 simple steps. Now, Jennifer is a producer, filmmaker, and award-winning actor from Maple in Canada. She has over 30 international stage credits and produced over 40 independent film and theatre productions. Over the course of 2020, when's the last time I spoke with her, while her industry was shut down, she began coaching business professionals and executives with their own on-screen presence and presentation skills, which is still really much needed in today's climate. So welcome, Jennifer, and thank you so much for coming back on and having another discussion about your new book.
Thank you so much, Rose. I'm so grateful that you asked me to come back. I love chatting with you. And I have to say, I love your hair. It looks fabulous.
Thank you. Jennifer, tell me a little bit about the book, how you came about writing it, what's in it. Well, we know it's audio, that's fine, but we know what's in it. What are the 7 great simple steps that we can do to build our own?
Yes, thank you so much for asking. So during the lockdown, the initial lockdown at the beginning of 2020, I knew I was getting ready to launch my first novel. And a colleague suggested that this would be the perfect time to record my audiobook because we couldn't leave the house. We couldn't do anything. So I had never recorded an audiobook before, but I do have a background in performance. And the novel was initially a stage play where I played 10 different characters. So I decided that, okay, I'm stuck at home anyways, and this will give me something to do. And I created a cocoon. I obviously didn't have a professional sound studio in my house. And like I said, we were locked down. I didn't have access to one. And at the time, I couldn't afford one anyways. Those get very pricey very quickly. So I looked up some things online, and just from my experience, because I have been in professional sound recording studios and sound booths before, I created a cocoon basically in a closet with some pillows and heavy blankets to drown out sound. And I purchased a very cheap $50 microphone on Amazon and a pop screen. A pop screen is a circular screen you can put in front of your microphone that will minimize some of the mouth sounds that the mic picks up that we're unaware of as we talk to each other in real life. Our mouths do make quite a bit of noise, but until we're kind of isolated into a vocal recording, we don't really notice them. So I spent less than $100 on equipment. I downloaded some free software and I got to it. And I messed up so many times that I actually recorded the entire book. It took me almost 2 months to record the entire book, and I had to throw it in the garbage and start from scratch.
Oh no! Oh yeah, I've got to just on the software and programs by Crisp. It's Crisp with a K. It takes out any background noise. I love it. It's there's a free version. You get so many hours a month, or you can pay for it as well. It's just a bit of a heads up. It's brilliant software.
Oh, amazing. I actually wasn't aware of that. So
no, I wasn't until a little while ago. Yeah, and one of my
the software I use to record is called Audacity.
Oh yes,
and
yep.
You can download that for free. And I actually have screenshots in the book that can help people learn how to use the software. Not all of us are tech savvy. So what happened was, yes, I had to throw the whole first go at it in the garbage and start again from scratch. And after a few months, I talked to my friend again, who put it in my head to record the audiobook. And she said, how did it go? And I said, well, actually, the first one was a disaster, but the second one, I think I got a good piece here. And she said, oh, this sounds great. It sounds like it's time for you to write a how-to book on how to do the audiobook, so other people out there don't make the same mistakes that you do. And I felt very confident in that because with my performance background, and I've taught acting classes, I was the performing arts director at an elementary school. So I feel very comfortable kind of preparing people to perform. That's also how the virtual meeting book came about also. So I'm just kind of transferring skills that I already had into repurposing them, I guess we could say. So yeah, so step one in the book is creating the right kind of booth for, the equipment. That's one of the things that I discuss. But another thing I discuss that people don't really think about is doing some vocal exercises and actually building up your vocal stamina for about a month before you even attempt to do it. So I, as an actor, work on my voice regularly and do vocal exercises almost every day. So that wasn't a concern for me going into it because I was already in that practice. But for somebody who's not a professional broadcaster or a professional speaker, it's very alien for our physicality to be speaking that much continuously. To read aloud for an hour straight is probably something that most people have never done or haven't done in a very long time. So I do talk about different exercises and different techniques to build up strength in our voice and our vocal stamina. And the other thing is I give a very realistic timeline. Some people think like, oh, I could read my whole book in a weekend, no problem. And it's not very realistic. So some people have commented that it's a little disheartening looking at the timeline that I give, considering I give a month of vocal exercises and I break it down week by week and I give very specific things to do. And then a realistic timeline is reading a chapter at a time. I don't think you would want to do less than a chapter because you'll get out of rhythm. If you try to, just do a few pages here and then a few pages the next day, the rhythm is not going to match. And it's important for that to stay consistent. So I suggest one chapter a day starting with twice a week, 3 times a week max, because once again, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah, it sounds like.
Yeah, so these are some of the things that I talk about in the book. But it's also, I very much encourage the audience. I know some of these things can sound discouraging to the reader, but once again, if you were passionate enough to write your book, you're already kind of in the 1%, because I feel like almost everyone I talk to has writing a book on their bucket list, and most people don't achieve it. So if you've had that kind of passion that drove you to actually complete a book, I think you're passionate enough to record your own audiobook.
What about the times, some people aren't good readers. They can speak well, but they don't read well. And, what about the time when you make a mistake? Do you have to go back and record the whole thing again? Or, does it matter that you've made, mispronounced a word, or you've lost your place, or whatever?
This is a great question. So this is another reason why I suggest only trying to record 1 chapter at a time. I suggest that you read the chapter aloud twice that same day before you go into the booth to record it. Because yes, it's almost impossible to get through an entire page without flubbing over a word, tripping over your tongue, or even needing to take a breath in an awkward place that breaks up the rhythm of a sentence if it's a longer sentence. So no, you do not have to start at the beginning and start at the beginning of the page. Basically, take a breath, gain your composure, go back to either the beginning of the line or the beginning of the paragraph, whatever works best for that specific piece that you're talking about. Because once again, as I mentioned, rhythm a little while ago, you want to stay in that same rhythm. And that's why you want to read the chapter out loud twice that same day, because you want to remember, and you can even make notes. I read it off of my screen because my little booth cocoon was too dark to actually read off the page. So I was reading off the screen. I would highlight things. I would mark up my PDF document in certain ways. And another thing, I did all the characters' voices. So I would highlight the different characters in different colors to know that those are going to sound differently. So there's little tricks you can do to remind yourself, that this is a long sentence. Take a big breath at the beginning. But yes, anytime you make a mistake, you're going to edit these. You're not trying to get a perfect take in one go. That's impossible for a page, let alone an entire chapter. So thank you so much for asking that wonderful question.
Another one that sort of along the same line. What if you're not, Audacity I use very rarely, only because I don't understand it. I would just rather cut and dice and slice the video rather than trying to strip the track out and trying to edit that. So in the book, you did say that you give some steps on how to use it. Is it fairly comprehensive for people who don't like to use the platform?
Yes, actually, I found it very simple to use. I originally started recording in GarageBand because it came on my Mac computer, and I actually found it much more difficult to work in GarageBand. And Audacity was just very simple. It was straightforward and user friendly. And I do have screenshots, so there's actual visuals in the book, and I have little arrows, and I've marked up the screenshots to make it very, very easy for the reader to understand how to do it. And also it makes editing very easy too, because this is the other thing. Once you finish that day, you're not finished. I suggest you go back and clean up your edits right as you're finished that chapter, because then everything's fresh in your mind of the rhythm of how you want it to sound. So yeah, Audacity, you can cut out your mistakes and delete them. You can paste things. you can move them around very simply, actually. I'm surprised that you said you found it a little difficult to use.
Yeah, maybe I just don't have the patience. Could be it.
Yeah, and also there aren't any visual cues. I think splicing a video is a little easier just because you have those visual cues of what you're watching. Audacity, you really do have to listen carefully. I had headphones on when I was recording. I would listen through the headphones when I was editing, because then the sound was clearer than if it was just listening off the laptop.
You said that you made yourself a studio, which is, a great thing in your closet. What about just recording on your smartphone?
So in terms of uploading to ACX is the website that allows you to distribute through Audible and Amazon and all of those things. They have very, very strict quality control. So I would suggest, if you can possibly do it, even if you're doing it on your smartphone, you want to be in a kind of soundproof area, because if there's too much background noise, they're not going to accept your files. And it would be a shame to work so hard on something that gets rejected from their quality control.
Have you been thinking about starting a podcast? You can share your knowledge and expertise with people globally. Create original content that is completely unique from anything else out in today's market, not just in terms of style, but also perspective. And when we talk about revenue generating potential, well, let me tell you, it doesn't stop there. The time to start is now. You know that you should be doing it. However, many people are reluctant because they don't know how to produce it or what tools they need to do their podcast. Please feel free to email me at guest@talkingwiththeexperts.com today, and let's talk about how I can help you to build authority and credibility for your business through podcasting. Remember, don't wait for the opportunity, create it. Okay, that's good to know, actually. I was asked by an online learning platform to record some 7-minute tutorials, and so I still haven't done it, but I think I will do that. How hard is it to get your audiobooks onto Audible or those sorts of places?
So it takes several months when you upload them. It takes several months for them to approve. It's not instantaneous. Like Amazon, if you're publishing a book or a Kindle version of a book, Amazon will have it up within 72 hours, a lot of times less than that. Audible goes through the whole thing for quality control. They need a certain amount of dead air at the beginning of each chapter, a certain amount at the end. If it's too much or too little, they will reject you. One of my chapters had like 1 second extra of dead air, and the project was rejected. So it took me like 2 months or 3 months to hear back, and then the project was rejected. And it was because one chapter out of 14 chapters had 1 second too long of dead air. So when I say they really are strict about their quality control, like they're not, they're not very forgiving.
Not very lenient. No, it doesn't sound like it.
No. So you really do want to make sure that you're doing everything up to their requirements, so you won't have to go back and do your work over.
Is there a cost to publishing on Audible?
No, actually. So ACX is a platform that distributes the audiobook on several different platforms. Kind of like you can publish through Amazon, but you can still be available on Barnes and Nobles and several different booksellers. So it doesn't cost anything, which is amazing, but they do take a percentage of your profits, just like Amazon does. So it's kind of that same model in the publishing world. If you get to publish your book for free, then they take a cut of your sales.
That's all right. It's pretty awesome, actually. Something I guess I should encourage myself to do.
Yes, you definitely should.
Yeah, I might put my training course on Audible and see what happens.
Yeah, it can't hurt. And one of the reasons I wrote the book is because people are consuming more books than ever today because of audiobooks. And a lot of people, it's not that they don't want to read an actual paperback or Kindle, it's that when we're stuck in traffic, we can't read. And I've lived in LA. Toronto is a nightmare. If you live outside of the city, you can easily be spending an hour commuting to work each way. So that's 2 hours out of your day where you can be, quote unquote, reading a book.
Learning or doing something, yeah.
Exactly. Like when I lived in New York, I loved that I could take the subway because I would read a book a week just on my subway ride to and from Queens every day, because I lived in Queens and I'd work in the city. So I was reading a book a week. And when I moved to LA, I was so like frustrated at the fact that my time in the car was wasted time, whereas my time commuting in New York, I made it into something productive.
That's really important these days for self-development and whatever. We have platforms like Audible and audiobooks and whatever to fall back on and to learn from. I think it's great. I think the pandemic has done some good things as far as the virtual world is concerned. So it's made us listen to more podcasts, listen to more books, download more videos, all sorts of things. So the virtual platform's just gone ballistic.
Yeah, and it also allows us to multitask in a world where there never seems to be enough time in the day to get everything done that we want to. So if we can be educating ourselves while we're in the car, while we're at the gym, while we're, even cooking, like I cook a lot. I'm not sure about you, but I enjoy cooking. It's one of my passions. So I can pop on an Audible while I'm cooking in the kitchen, whereas I couldn't be holding a book and reading.
No, and we can be dancing along and diving to mashing the potatoes.
Yes, exactly. So there are so many more opportunities to consume this information through the audio book. And I really do believe, like I said, if somebody is passionate enough to get their ideas out into a book, they're definitely passionate enough to tell their story. And I also address in the book everybody's insecurities, because I think so many of us were insecure when we see ourselves on camera. We're insecure when we hear the sound of our own voice. And I just reassure people that even professional actors and professional speakers have those same insecurities. And I actually even suggest, like, look at a blooper reel of your favorite sitcom or your favorite TV show. You'll see actors tripping over their lines right, left, and center. You'll see them making mistakes. You'll see them flubbing words. It's just natural. So there's no reason to be self-conscious, and there's no reason to say no to yourself when there's a world of yes out there.
Absolutely. I used to hate the sound of my own voice, but the more I've listened to it, it's not such a bad voice after all.
I think you have a wonderful voice.
Thank you. Now, any special, I know you mentioned before about you give some exercises in the books. What about, total pronunciation, like, the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain?
Yes, so I definitely give tongue twisters. Well, it all starts off with breathing. Breathing is the number one thing, because if you don't have breath, you cannot make a sound.
Absolutely.
So all of the exercises every day, I give like a regiment every day for a full month of what I suggest people should do. And starting off with, about 5 minutes and working your way up to a half hour. Because if you've never done any vocal prep before, it's not realistic to do a half hour every day. So breathing is definitely number one. And we want to make sure that we are speaking on our breath. That's what we talk about in the acting world. And tongue twisters for sure, but you're not trying to assume an accent. You're not trying to develop a specific affect in your voice. You're trying to be authentically you. I think if we try to sound like somebody else, we're going to trip over our words even more than if we were just trying to be ourselves. So I'm not trying to get people to speak with a proper accent, and that's not really the goal. The goal is more about protecting our voice from injury and having enough air to get to the end of the sentence and the end of the thought.
Yes, there's nothing worse than, giving a speech or a presentation or whatever, and you think you've taken a deep enough breath, and then by the time you get to the end of the sentence, you're like, there's nothing left, and your voice trails off, and it sounds really terrible when you think you're just, and then you realize, that you've got no breath left, and so you take this huge whoosh of air back into your lungs, and it just sounds terrible, especially with a microphone that is so close to your mouth. You can hear it. I know here we've got some weather presenters, on the telly, and they've got the microphone so close that every time they take a breath, it's so, I don't know, just chills me to the bone.
Yes, definitely. And it also loses impact of what we're saying.
I agree.
There's something about having, a strong voice. It equates to impact and equates to relevance or urgency when we're speaking. So yes, so breath is everything. And most people, if they don't practice yoga, if they don't do breathing exercises regularly, most of us take quite shallow breaths. I've been working on this for years because I'm a theater performer. I've been performing in theater since I was 20 years old and started.
You're only 21 now, for heaven's sake. Go on.
Oh yes, exactly. I'm actually 22. But also, when you're starting off in smaller theaters, you don't have the luxury of having microphones, and you don't have these huge sound systems. So your voice really does need to carry. Your voice does not need to carry for the audiobooks. You're going to have a microphone right in front of you. So it's not about projecting this huge loud sound. It's literally just getting to the end of an idea in a cohesive way. And once again, you're going to be speaking at length in an unnatural way for an extended period of time, both for the hour you're reading your chapter, and then for the weeks ahead of you to get through all of the chapters of the book. So the preparation really is key, but I think that goes for anything in life, any endeavor, whether it's business or creative or personal. Preparation allows us the freedom to have fun with what we're doing.
What is, in your opinion, the ideal length of an audiobook, as in time?
Oh, I don't think I could answer that question, because it's just going to depend on how long the book is. I enjoy books that are, 250 pages just as much as I enjoy books that are 400 pages long. It really just depends on if the story is compelling. And once again, if it's a book that's a business resource or an academic resource, you're learning a new skill or learning a different process, those books tend to be shorter. So I wouldn't worry so much about the length as long as you have something compelling to say.
Absolutely. Great answer. Now, Jennifer, the title of your book is called How to Record and Publish an Audio Book in 7 Simple Steps. It's obviously available on Audible. Where else is it available?
Actually, this one is not available on Audible because the description, so I'll show you. I have these pages showing you how to use Audacity. I don't know how to show that in an Audible.
No, it'd be a bit hard, wouldn't it?
Yes, because this is a resource, and just having, for example, tongue twisters and different vocal exercises, this is something that people are actually going to need to hold and use as a visual aid. So ironically enough, it's not available as an Audible, but it is available. But it's available on Kindle, it's available on Amazon, it's available almost anywhere books are sold. And and I just want to encourage people out there who have a book don't talk yourself out of it. Talk yourself into it. It's so easy in life whenever we're tackling something that's new or foreign to us to talk ourselves out of it before we give it a chance. And I would say, so it's a very short, easy read, not even 50 pages. And if you take a look at it and you're like, this definitely is not for me, then maybe it's not for you. But if it's something you're considering, this book can help you make that decision. It can kind of be the tipping point as to whether or not you want to spend the time and the resources doing it in a low cost way, but there is no way to get around the amount of time it's going to take. And one of my friends who was reading it before I published it was like, oh, are you sure you want to put the timeline in? Like, you're going to scare people away. And I was like, well, actually, the whole point of the book is to be very candid and let people know what they're signing up for. Because I don't know about you, for me, there's nothing worse than getting jazzed about something, starting it, and then not committing to finish it because I didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's like, I've done that a few times in, just doing a course or whatever. I think, I've signed up, I was all G'd up to do it and everything. And then I got halfway through, I think, well, this really isn't for me. And, I've just spent all this money, but so now I'm committed to it. And, and then just go through the motions of completing the course. And I'm unsatisfied because, it's either the work didn't align with what I was really wanting to do, or it's just that I didn't get on with the coach or something. There's always something. You just need to know what you're signing up for, and you're right. You need to know. Well, for me, I need to know what's in it, what's going to happen, and what's the outcome.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't own a microphone company. I don't get, I don't make any money from equipment that's purchased. Audacity is a free resource. I'm not suggesting things that are going to break the bank, but an investment is still an investment, whether it's time, whether it's dollars. And I think it's best to just be very upfront. And, if somebody's not into it, then they're not into it. And I think actually what you said about recording on an iPhone could be a great way for somebody to gauge if they just try to do a chapter on their iPhone first and see if they can stand it. Because I think that's a good barometer as to whether or not they're going to want to sit and do that for several days a week, week in and week out for a couple of months until they get through the whole book.
All right. So the book's available on Amazon. I'm going to have to go and buy myself a copy now because you've piqued my interest.
Oh, well, thank you.
Jennifer, where can people find you if they want to work with you in some project or other?
Yes, so my website is called makeyourownbreak.com, and that's where they can find everything about me. They can find the info on my books. I have a little blog there that I publish once a month. I used to do it once a week. Now it's once a month. And it's basically about independent film and theater production. If that's something you're interested in or looking to do, there's some really good tips on that. And that's the best way to find me. Makeyourownbreak.com.
Lovely. Jennifer, last words of wisdom.
Talk yourself into it. Don't talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, that's it. Don't wait for the opportunity, create it.
Exactly. Make your own break.
That's it. Jennifer, it's been an absolute delight to speak with you. I so enjoy your company. We'll have to do it again soon.
Yes, I would love to, Rose. Thank you so much again for having me on. It was a pleasure as usual.
Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye.
Talking with the experts.
Thanks for joining me on Talking with the Experts. Make sure you subscribe through your favourite podcast app or on YouTube, and check out my Patreon page for more value for you, or you can buy me a coffee. My name's Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. I look forward to your company next time when I'm talking with the experts.